How to trick your brain into loving discipline. If you enjoy this content, support the channel by subscribe and like the video. Your brain doesn't hate discipline. It hates surprises, discomfort, and wasted effort. And most people spend their lives trying to force discipline with the weakest tool they have, motivation. Motivation is weather. It changes with sleep, stress, praise, hormones, and whether someone cut you off in traffic. Systems are climate. They shape what happens even when you're tired, bored, or annoyed. I want to tell you a story first, because stories sneak past the guard dog of the mind. Years ago, I knew a man who swore he had no willpower. He'd say it the way people say they have brown eyes, like it was fixed. He tried to wake up early, tried to exercise, tried to eat better. Every time, he would push hard for a few days, then collapse, then hate himself, then start again. He thought the problem was character. One evening he came to visit me, and I watched him as he spoke. He kept pulling his phone from his pocket, checking it, setting it down, picking it up again like it was a warm stone he couldn't stop touching. I asked him gently, "Do you think you're weak, or do you think you're being trained?" That question changed his face. Because the truth is, your brain is wired to resist effort for a very old reason. Effort used to mean risk. In the ancient world, calories were survival. If you burned energy and didn't get food, shelter, or safety, you died. So the brain developed a bias toward conserving energy and avoiding unnecessary strain. It's not a moral flaw. It's an evolutionary feature. Your brain is a careful accountant. It wants return on investment. If a task feels uncertain, boring, or far away in reward, the brain labels it as expensive. And what does it do with expensive things? It postpones. That's the first trick. Stop calling resistance laziness. Call it what it is, cost sensitivity. When your brain resists, it's saying, "This costs too much right now." Your job is not to argue. Your job is to lower the cost. Lower the cost, and discipline stops feeling like punishment. And here's the second truth: your environment is not neutral. It is either helping you or quietly sabotaging you. Most people think discipline is an internal battle, but the battlefield is your room, your kitchen, your notifications, your calendar, your friends, and the default settings on everything you own. A cookie on the counter is not just a cookie. It is a cue. A cue starts a loop: cue, craving, response, reward. The loop runs whether you believe in it or not. The mind loves loops. The loop is efficient. The loop is familiar. That's why you can drive home and barely remember the trip. Your brain is conserving energy by outsourcing behavior to habit. So if you want to trick your brain into liking discipline, you don't start with heroic effort. You start with the cue. You redesign the room so the cue points toward the person you're trying to become. Think of discipline as the art of making the right thing the easiest thing. I'm going to give you a principle that sounds almost insulting in its simplicity, but it works. Make bad habits harder and good habits easier. That's it. That's the lever. Most people try to do the opposite. They try to make good habits harder by relying on willpower, and they make bad habits easier by surrounding themselves with temptation. Then they blame themselves. If your phone is the first thing you touch in the morning, your day begins in reaction. Your brain gets trained to crave novelty and social signals before it has done anything meaningful. That isn't a personal failure, it's a design flaw. So redesign. Charge your phone in another room. Put a book where the phone used to be. Put a glass of water by the bed. Your morning cue changes, and the whole day shifts. Now let's talk about the word trick, because it matters. The best tricks aren't lies. They're arrangements. You are arranging your life so that your brain receives small, frequent evidence that discipline is safe, rewarding, and part of who you are. Your brain loves identity. It will defend an identity even when it hurts. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad at routines. I'm just undisciplined. Those sentences aren't descriptions, they're commands. When you repeat them, you teach your brain what to expect, and then your brain goes looking for proof. So your third principle is identity-based discipline. You stop asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and start asking, "What does a disciplined person do next, at this scale, in this moment?" Not forever. Not a grand plan. Just next. And the scale matters. If you make the next step microscopic, your brain stops panicking. A common mistake is to set a goal that requires a new personality overnight. The brain hears that and rebels. But if you say, "I'm going to do 2 minutes," the brain can tolerate it. 2 minutes is cheap. 2 minutes is safe. 2 minutes is easy to repeat. Repetition is the real magic. Your brain doesn't fall in love with discipline because you did something once. It falls in love because the loop becomes familiar, the cost becomes low, and the reward becomes predictable. So we build a system. First, choose a trigger you already have. Something stable. Coffee in the morning? Sitting at your desk. Brushing your teeth. Then attach a tiny disciplined action to it. After coffee, I write 1 sentence. After I sit down, I open the document. After I brush my teeth, I do 5 push-ups. Tiny. Second, create a reward that the brain can feel immediately. Not in 6 months. Now. Immediate rewards can be simple: a check mark, a satisfying sound, a short song you love, a cup of good tea only after the habit. The brain is a creature of now. It needs now rewards to build now behavior. Third, remove friction. Lay out the gym clothes. Put the guitar on a stand, not in a case. Pre-cut the vegetables. Open the notebook. Discipline is often won or lost in the 15 seconds before you start. If the start is smooth, the rest follows. Fourth, track the streak, not the mood. Mood is unreliable. Streaks are visible. Your brain likes visible progress. A streak turns effort into a game, and games are how humans learn. Now, a word about motivation. People think they need motivation to start. Often, you need motion to create motivation. Action creates evidence, evidence creates identity, identity creates desire. You don't wait to feel like it. You do the smallest version until you start to feel like the kind of person who does it. I can hear someone saying, "But what about days when life explodes? What about travel, sickness, kids, deadlines?" Good. That's why systems must include mercy. Discipline that breaks under stress is not discipline, it's a performance. The true system has an emergency version. On hard days, you do the 2-minute version. You keep the chain alive. You keep the identity alive. You show your brain, even in chaos, we are still us. And when you miss a day, and you will, the system is not. Never fail. The system is. Never miss twice. Missing once is an event. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. So, if you want to trick your brain into liking discipline, stop wrestling it. Start partnering with it. Make the cost small. Make the cues obvious. Make the start easy. Make the reward immediate. Make the identity real. Do this long enough, and one day you'll notice something strange. You won't feel like you're forcing yourself anymore. You'll feel like you're simply following the path you built on purpose. In the next part, I want to talk about the hidden saboteurs, your social world, your digital world, and the stories you tell yourself when you're tired, and how to redesign those too, so your system doesn't collapse the moment temptation whispers your name. Because temptation rarely announces itself as temptation. It sounds like reason. You deserve a break. You can do it later. One episode won't matter. The brain uses these lines the way a magician uses patter, so your attention follows the wrong hand. And attention is the currency of discipline. Wherever your attention goes, your life follows. So tonight, before you change your whole life, do one small audit. Walk through your day and circle the invisible decisions you make on autopilot: where your keys land, where the snacks live, where your shoes sit, what tab opens first on your laptop, which app is closest to your thumb, what time you usually slump, who you text when you're avoiding work. Don't judge any of it. Just notice. Noticing is already a kind of power. Then ask a simple question. What is my environment training me to do? If the answer is scroll, snack, procrastinate, overcommit, That's not a character flaw, it's a curriculum. Change the curriculum and you change the student. Next, pick one choke point, one moment where the day usually breaks, and build a tiny bridge over it. If afternoons are your danger zone, schedule a 2-minute reset: water, sunlight, a short walk, a quick tidy of the desk. If evenings unravel, create a closing ritual: lights dim, phone away, tomorrow's first tool placed in sight. Rituals look small, but they tell your nervous system: we are safe. We are guided. We are not drifting. And that's the real trick: discipline isn't a whip. It's a handrail. Hold it, and you can walk through the fog without waiting for courage. Tomorrow we'll tighten that handrail by shaping your social inputs and your digital defaults, the places most people forget to defend too. Because tomorrow is where discipline either compounds or collapses. And here is something most people never hear: discipline is not built in heroic bursts. It is built in returns. You leave, and you return. You fail, and you return. You get distracted, and you return. The power is not in perfection. It's in the coming back. Your brain learns from what you repeatedly do after a mistake. If after missing a habit you spiral into shame, the brain associates discipline with emotional pain. It will quietly avoid it next time. But if after missing a habit you calmly reset and complete the smallest version, the brain associates discipline with resilience. That is a very different lesson. So message 2 is about resilience by design. Imagine your habits as bridges. A fragile bridge collapses under pressure. A strong bridge bends. Most systems people build are fragile because they are built for ideal days. Ideal sleep. Ideal mood. Ideal weather. But life is not ideal. So we build flexible bridges. Here is how. First, create tiers. Tier 1 is the full version. 30 minutes of exercise. 5 pages written. Deep focused work. Tier 2 is the reduced version. 10 minutes. 1 page. A single task. Tier 3 is the survival version. 2 minutes. 1 paragraph. 1 push-up. No matter what happens, you never skip Tier 3. This protects identity. When identity is protected, momentum survives. Second, anticipate friction before it arrives. Your brain hates uncertainty more than effort. If you wait until you're tired to decide whether to work out, you've already increased the cost. Instead, decide in advance. Choose the time. Choose the place. Choose the backup. Decision fatigue drains discipline faster than difficulty does. Third, redesign reward. Most people try to delay gratification. That works only if the future reward feels vivid. But distant rewards are abstract. Your brain discounts them. So we cheat a little. We bring reward closer. After completing your habit, do something small that feels good and is aligned. Stretch and breathe deeply. Make a mark on a visible tracker. Text a simple "done" to an accountability partner. Say out loud, "I keep promises." It sounds silly, but spoken language reinforces identity pathways. Your nervous system listens. Fourth, reduce invisible energy leaks. You can't love discipline if you are constantly exhausted. Sleep matters. Nutrition matters. Sunlight matters. Movement matters. These aren't motivational slogans, they are biological regulators. A regulated brain resists less. Most people try to improve productivity without improving physiology. That's like tuning a piano while the strings are broken. Now let's talk about boredom. Discipline is repetitive. Repetition is the soil of mastery, but repetition feels dull at first. The brain craves novelty because novelty once meant opportunity. So we give it controlled novelty inside stable structure. Change the playlist, not the routine. Change the location slightly. Change the order of tasks. Keep the core habit stable, but let the surface shift enough to satisfy curiosity. And then there's the deeper level, the meaning level. Your brain resists effort that feels meaningless. If your habit is disconnected from purpose, resistance will remain high. So attach your habit to something larger than comfort. Not I want abs. But I want to be strong enough to play with my children. Not, I want to wake up early. But I want quiet time that belongs only to me. Meaning lowers psychological cost. Now, here's the quiet part most productivity talk ignores: you will never eliminate resistance completely. Resistance is part of being human. The goal is not zero resistance. The goal is manageable resistance. Think of resistance like wind. You don't curse the wind. You adjust your sail. Some days the wind is strong. You shrink the sail, Tier 3 version. Some days it's light. You expand the sail, Tier 1 version. But you keep moving. The moment you stop personalizing resistance, discipline becomes lighter. You stop thinking, "What's wrong with me?" and start thinking, "What needs adjustment?" That's maturity. There's another story I want to share. An older woman once told me she had finally learned to like discipline at 70. She laughed when she said it. "I used to think discipline was punishment," she said. "Now I see it's permission." Permission for what? Permission to build something slowly. Permission to trust herself. Permission to not live at the mercy of impulse. That's the real shift. Discipline stops feeling like restriction and starts feeling like self-respect. You respect your future self enough to set the table for them. You respect your energy enough to protect it. You respect your attention enough to guard it. And attention, more than time, is the true currency of life. If you want one final practical tool, try this. End each day with a 30-second review. Not judgment. Just 3 questions. What worked today? What didn't? What tiny adjustment will I make tomorrow? Tiny adjustment. Not overhaul. Not revolution. Adjustment. Systems evolve. They are living things. They adapt as you do. And eventually, something remarkable happens. You wake up and notice that the disciplined action feels normal. You don't argue with yourself. You don't need a speech. You don't need a surge of inspiration. You just do it. That's when you realize your brain isn't being forced anymore. It's aligned. You didn't conquer it. You collaborated with it. You removed friction. You added cues. You rewarded consistency. You protected identity. You built tiers. You planned for storms. You honored physiology. You adjusted for boredom. You attached meaning. And step by step, you taught your brain that discipline is not danger. It is direction. It is safety. It is freedom disguised as structure. So if you're sitting there thinking you've failed too many times, remember this: you don't need a new personality. You need a new arrangement. Move one object. Set one cue. Shrink one habit. Attach one reward. Protect one identity statement. Repeat. That's how you trick your brain into liking discipline. Not by force. By design.